Hey Dekoni fans, today we're going to figure out how to read frequency response charts. So what are frequency response charts and what are they used for exactly? Well, not all sound is created equally. There are low frequency sounds and high frequency sounds. These are characterized by the speed at which sounds oscillate through the air. Because of the size of our ears and eardrums, most people can only hear oscillations or sounds between 20 Hz and 20 kHz. Most graphs you look at include only sounds between these frequency ranges. Although, sometimes higher frequency sounds are included. Despite not being able to hear sounds above 20 kHz, some people do notice their presence and therefore the information can be useful. When you look at frequency response charts, there are two different measurements charted on the graph. Hertz, which is written as Hz, which is on the x-axis, is how many cycles of oscillation the frequency completes each second. Decibels, usually written as dB, located on the y-axis, is in reference to amplitude or loudness. The word decibel is derived from the word deci, meaning the number 10, which is referring to the metric system, and bell, which is a nod to the inventor of the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell. Decibels are a logarithmic measurement, so lower volumes are a lot smaller than louder volumes. Every time you increase the volume by 6 decibels, the amplitude gets doubled or multiplied by 2. The scale is simplified this way in order for it to be easier to understand, rather than having astronomically high numbers. Now that we understand what data will be charted on the graph, we can take a look at the graphs themselves and compare stock frequency earpads to upgraded Dekoni earpads. This is a chart comparing the frequency response of the stock earpads from Dan Clark Aeon Close 2 against the Dekoni Audio Elite sheepskin earpads for Aeon models. We use raw measurement data and do not adjust for ear gain. Ear gain is simply adjusting the graphs to compensate for an ear's typical sensitivity. Some frequencies are more sensitive to human ears than others. This chart shows frequency response from 10 Hz to 24 kHz. Some headphones do offer sounds that are higher than what human hearing can discern. You might not hear them, but some people claim to sense them, so we include them in the chart. Notable things you can see in the chart are a boost in the lower frequency range between 10 Hz and 100 Hz. This gives more oomph to your bass. Some of the increases are about 2 dB, so it's only a slight increase. Remember, decibel is not a linear measurement, so these slight increases might be more audible to some. Smaller differences can be found at 400 Hz, which is in the range of human speech. With an increase of 1 dB, there's just a slight increase here, which might not be audible to some. Around 2 kHz, there's also an increase. Around 2 kHz, instruments like the violin live around here. So if you're listening to something classical or orchestral, you might find strings just a little bit more present. Above that, there isn't too much notable, and you can find comparable frequency response where cymbals give off their air and splash. Alright, let's take a moment to understand the different frequency ranges. We're going to play a few tones for you so you can hear the differences. A cello operates between 65.4 Hz and 659.3 Hz. A bass guitar operates between 60 Hz and 1 kHz. An electric guitar is usually between 80 Hz and 1.2 kHz. Please note that these are the instrument's fundamental frequency ranges. This does not include upper frequency ranges they produce from their harmonics. You can also characterize large swaths of frequencies when explaining the differences to your fellow headphone enthusiasts. For example, lows are characterized by 20 Hz to 200 Hz. The low mids are characterized as 200 Hz to 700 Hz. Mid-range is between 700 Hz and 3 kHz. High mids are between 3 kHz and 7 kHz. And highs are from 7 kHz on to 20 kHz. With that said, thank you guys for tuning into our video, and hopefully you learned something new about frequency chart measurements and how to interpret them. As always, leave a like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe for more videos from Dekoni Audio in the future. For all your headphone accessory needs, head on over to dekoniaudio.com. Thanks for watching.